Manchester United 3, Leicester 0. A mad game, if I'll say it. It was like the first half, horrible. Second half, could have scored 10. What did you make of that?
Started off horrendous, really. I think that's where we see how much you miss the likes of Casemiro.
Yeah.
And David De Gea had to really earn his wage this week. Pulled us out of the shit in a big way a couple of times, actually, with some genuinely world-class saves, getting overrun centrally. And I think the reason why Leicester find themselves in so many high-scoring games, like last couple of weeks, they've scored 4, but they conceded first. And I think the reason why is what we saw at 0-0. They had like 6 players in our box. You know, they're overloaded centrally. They're getting in amongst it. They're getting shots off. And because they're doing that with such a high line, you know, they're getting caught at times. And that could have been the exact same as those other games. But, you know, fair play. Ten Hag fixed some things, changed some things at half time. And David De Gea's kept us in it. And Marcus Rashford is the best player in the world.
He is the best player in the world, without doubt. Just on that game, like if this game was anywhere between 4-3 to any number up to about 5, either way, it would have been. You could have seen, like, if it was 4-3 to Leicester, I could have believed that. Like that first half, they could have scored 3 or 4 easy. But second half. Yeah. What do you think changed? Because I know obviously we got the goal and I think that knocked the wind out of the sails a little bit. But second half, genuinely, just in that second half, I think United could have scored 5 or 6. And I know you're a fan of XG, or you have been in the past. I think it was Leicester's was 1.5, which obviously unlucky not to get a goal or great goalkeeping. United's was 4.16, which is massive, isn't it? 4 for an expected goals is very high.
Yeah, and the fact it's over 4.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what happened.
No, just went mad.
Maybe it's a confidence issue. Maybe I'm thinking it's maybe something psychological and mental, because this is a Leicester team that at times, they was in a good run of form when we played them, but at times this season they've found themselves in a relegation battle, really. So, and I think they might have just been sucked back into that this weekend, actually. But because of the fact that they've been in a relegation battle, when they get a couple of goals behind, I think that sort of lends itself to we've been here before in a negative sense. And they can crumble. Like, you saw it over the last couple of seasons with United. There was some confidence, but it was fragile. And if you concede, sometimes you can go on a bit of a slippery slope. And I know that flies in the face of the fact that they came back from 1-0 down the last 2 weeks, but 1-0 down is not 2-0 down at Old Trafford.
No.
And especially maybe the circumstances of the second goal, because I don't know how that's onside. I saw the lines. I don't necessarily agree with the lines. Like, that was offside.
It was mad, wasn't it? Like, the line was drawn obviously from Rashford's toe, but then when the place where they draw the line on someone's arm is always mad to me, because you think, is it the bicep? Is the shirt? What if your shirt's sort of tucked up and caught on a bit of the arm? Is it where they're leaning? Is it like it was one of them where for the first time it felt like they went that old typical thing of, if we're not sure, we'll give the advantage to the attacker. I don't know if that's in the rules anymore, but that it kind of felt like, it's close enough, so we'll give it to Rashford. But that isn't, like I said, that isn't in the rules, and yet somehow we ended up 2-0 up. But I almost don't want to talk about Rashford because it's all me and you talk about on these reviews. But he scored twice. It's now his best ever goal scoring season as a professional. If you include the World Cup, it's 27 goals a season. Even without that, it's 24 for United. We're looking at, you would think, injuries sort of aside, well into the 30s as the target for this season now. I cannot believe I'm saying that about Marcus Rashford. Can you? What is happening? How is this happening?
Just roll it back a second to talk about offside, right? So the offside rule is about an unfair advantage for the attacker. That's goal hanging while the rest of the team pushes up. For me, if you have to start drawing lines, and I know it's an objective thing, you're offside or you're not offside, is there an advantage to Marcus Rashford being a millimetre in front or behind when he's all the way on the wing and there's a defender in the centre of the pitch? There's no advantage, right? There's zero advantage whatsoever there. Unfair advantage, I think it's actually called. I don't think it says advantage, I think it's unfair advantage, right? So if you have to get a fucking protractor out and zoom in on pixels It's a bleeding goal, right? That should be the rule. There should be someone in the back going, "What are you doing? Fuck off, goal!" Right? That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's what advantage has there been? You can't tell me there's an advantage there. If you have to go, well, there's a pixel of his shirt in front of the defender. Cool. So they're level then.
Yeah.
99.8% of their bodies are level. It's level. It's the fucking goal. Stop dicking around. Goal. But yeah, Marcus Rashford, 30 goals this season, or we'll be very disappointed because he's going to have to go on a right drought to not get 30 goals this year.
Yeah, mad, isn't it? It's just amazing. And, we're talking about, I know there's that argument of if you brought in a Kane or a Osimhen or whoever, a prolific striker, you might knock a few goals off of Rashford because he won't be the same focal point. But I still think, if you get someone else on 20 and him on 20, that's still more than Rashford's on, I don't think he'll get 40 this season. So if we can get a couple of people alongside him, our goal difference at the minute is the thing that's hurting us. Our goal difference is 13 behind City's and, 23 behind City's and 15 behind Arsenal. That might well cost us a place in the league this season.
Yeah, it might cost us. And honestly, I was gutted that Arsenal even... I was gutted that they were going to draw at one point yesterday, let alone the fact that they came and won that game.
Yeah, I know. How good would that have been? I mean, it's already a good weekend, obviously City dropping points, but if Arsenal could have dropped 2 as well. I mean, even looking up the table now, I've got it in front of me here, United 49 points, Arsenal 54, with 5 points behind them. They have got a game in hand, but, you've got to say...
Are we closer to top than 4th?
As it stands, by quite a bit. We're 5 points away from Arsenal and from 4th or 5th. Well, either way, we're 8 points ahead of Newcastle, 10 points ahead of Tottenham in 5th, and we are 5 points behind Arsenal. So if United are... We're certainly in a title race as it stands, aren't we? Just mathematically we are. You don't have to say that we'll be here by the end of the season, but currently, as it stands, Joe McGrath, surprisingly, made a great point before. If we were supporting a team that was in 17th, 3 points clear of 18th, you'd say we're in a relegation battle. So how can you not say we're in a title challenge if we're 5 points, 5 points behind Arsenal? You can't really, can you? Do you know what I mean? You just said, actually, Steve, that Leicester were back into the relegation battle. And they're only 4 points ahead of West Ham. So, do you know what I mean? You can't have used...
4 points off top. Do you know what? If we're 4 points off top, we're in a title race, Joe. I think that might be where I draw it.
Okay, so 4 but not 5. Okay, that's very... You've got lucky
5
there.
with good goal difference.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point, actually, because really it's 5.5, isn't it? That's a good point. We need to talk about Weghorst as well, because you can't... What a mad game that he's had there. Because I personally thought and the way I'll phrase it is, rather than saying he had a great game, is I think he increased our chances of winning by quite a lot, the way he played today. I thought he looked good off the ball. I thought he won the ball back well. I think he had more tackles than anyone on the pitch. He missed some absolute sitters. But he's doing a lot, isn't he? Are you happy with what he's doing, or do you think, really, when it comes down to it, if you're not scoring, you're not playing well?
No, do you know what? Liverpool went on about Firmino, about what he offers to the team, and goals wasn't one of the things that he offered the team very much, really, for so long, about how integral he was to all of their system and blah, 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 right? So if he can be that, then why can't Weghorst be that for us? We just won a game 3-0. Don't tell me that the centre forward's an issue. And is he even really playing centre forward? I don't even know what he's just in the team, man. He's just sort of cut about the gaff. Yeah. Don't really win headers. Yeah. It's kind of bizarre, really.
It is bizarre. I like him, though, and someone made this point before. Well, 2 things he's being called. He's being called the new Fellaini, and he's being called the arthritis Haaland, which I can sort of get behind both of them, because he's got that, similar gait as Haaland, but he doesn't have the pace. He's got that hurts a bit.
Goal-scoring ability.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing as well, yeah. But yeah, Manchester United at the minute, this is the first win of the week. Hopefully, the first of 3. How big is this week for United? Because the next up is Barcelona, obviously, depending on your thoughts on how much you care about the League Cup, but the Europa League. But surely Newcastle next week, this time next week, will know, or will be about to kick off in that League Cup final. Massive week, this, isn't it?
This is a huge week, right? And this was the one game we had a little bit of wiggle room in, if we're being honest with ourselves. You kind of got to win the cup games because that's where it ends if you don't. The league, even though I think, giddy people will say every game's a must win in the league. It is, but it's not. We still got how many games we got left? Like 15 or
14.
something, 14?
Yeah.
There's wiggle room in the league that just plain and simply does not exist in knockout cup competitions or finals. So if you was going to drop any points or be allowed to drop any points, this was the one that you could have done that. I feel very confident, and I don't know if that's a dangerous position to be in against Barcelona. I think we're better when we're the underdogs. I hope we still have an underdog mentality going into that on Thursday. And the same again for Sunday. It's really swung in our favour that the pressure's going to be on us. Now Pope isn't going to be available. We're coming into this scoring goals. We're dangerous. They've lost this week. I think there's a psychological benefit to them having to watch us. They're going to be thinking about United so much all week, and we're not thinking about them. That could be a thing that swings in our favour, but there's a lot of things that have swung in our favour for United Newcastle end of the week. And I hope it's not too much that it upsets the balance, because you want to go into a cup final with a bit of butterflies, I think.
Yeah, you don't want it to feel like all we have to do is turn up and we'll win. We need to feel as though Newcastle are a threat, but hopefully we'll do that. I think the Barcelona one's a good point as well, where you come away from the Nou Camp at 2-2 thinking, we're as good as these. We did them at their own stadium, and then next thing you know, you're 2-0 down after 15 minutes. But I couldn't agree more. It's an absolutely massive week. Thank you for joining me, Steve. Get your thoughts in the comments below. First win of 3, hopefully this week, and hopefully a bit of silverware to take into some big games coming up. Right, thank you very much for joining us.
Joe, what a week we're in for, man.
I know. I'm shitting it.
There's not enough.
I'm genuinely shitting it. I'm so nervous. Right,
excited.
thank you.
I'm excited.
I am as well.
What we're here for, Joseph.
I know, but it gets scary because for so long we were allowed to just go, oh, we're shit. Anyway, move on. Now it's like, actually, we've got to start winning these games, otherwise it's even more heartbreaking. Right, thank you for joining us. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a bit.